You're listening to Graphic Novel Explorers Club podcast, an audio book club.
Thanks for checking out today's episode of Graphic Novel Explorers Club. I'm one of your hosts, Dennis, joined by
Johnny.
And... Oh, wait.
Nobody else.
Oh, wow.
Francis is on sabbatical right now.
Well, we're recording our Christmas special right now at Crocker-Con in September. I know that sounds confusing, but if you're listening to this in the future, it all makes sense, hopefully.
It will make sense, and it will be in the future. But yes, we're recording live at Crocker-Con at Crocker Art Museum here in Sacramento, California.
Yes. Today we're discussing The Last Christmas by Brian Posehn and Gerry? How do you even...
I think it's Gerry.
Gerry Duggan. Art by Rick Remender. Wow, these people have interesting names.
Yeah, those are like someone tipped the Scrabble board over and just started picking up letters.
It sounds like characters I would name in my RPG. Anyway, we hope you've already read today's title because all two of us have read the book, so beware, spoilers ahead. We'd love for you to share your opinion and thoughts with us. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at GN Explorers Club. You can leave a comment on our Facebook page or email us at gnexplorersclub@gmail.com. Graphic Novel Explorers Club is available on iTunes, Stitcher, and wherever podcasts are available. If you want to plan ahead for next week's episode, I have no idea what we're reading.
Next week's episode is a couple months off.
Yeah. So anyway, insert blank, wait, pause, and we're back.
Dennis, for people that don't know, Dennis is a regular Ron Burgundy. He just reads what's on the teleprompter.
That's right.
So this is The Last Christmas by, I'm assuming, possibly Gerry Duggan, comedian Brian Posehn, and artist Rick Remender.
Yeah.
It sounds like, I wonder how many times people are like, why don't you just make it Remember?
My dyslexia just said remember.
So in the comic book, there's a introduction poem by Patton Oswalt, who, for maybe some of our younger listeners, Patton Oswalt and Brian Posehn are both comedians, and they did a comedy tour at least 12, 15 years ago.
Oh, I had no idea.
Called The Comedians of Comedy.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it was those two, Zach Galifianakis, and oh God, what's her name? She has a
Sarah Silverman?
No. She's blonde. She does like a little baby voice, and then she talks to like her mom like this.
Oh.
Her name is right on the tip of my tongue.
Does she do like a voice for SpongeBob SquarePants?
I don't know, but she had a special on Netflix where she just, I want to say her name's Miranda, but it's not Miranda. Where she would do the same kind of, she did different bits all over the place, like in living rooms, on the street. God dang it, her name's right on the tip of my tongue.
But regardless, this was in the heyday when they had specials blank of comedy.
Yeah, and that's what they were mocking, were the kings of comedy, and
right?
The cholos of comedy,
right?
And,
exactly.
Yeah, all of those things. But so. Book starts off chapter 1. Well, let me get back to the introduction poem is basically a play on "'Twas the Night Before Christmas."
Totally.
But violent, like it talks about.
Yeah, I'm not going to be reading this to my kids, FYI.
Oh, you should make it a new family tradition. So chapter 1, "'Twas the Fight Before Christmas." So we're introduced to Gerry the Snowman, who's basically the narrator.
A la Frosty.
Yeah, Frosty, if you're at all familiar. If you have lived at all in the past 50 years, you know, and are probably well aware of the Frosty the Snowman.
Even my kids know about the claymation. So
to kind of sidetrack it a little bit, I don't think those, like, the Charlie Brown holiday cartoon specials, the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, I don't know if those, like, hold as a special place in the like modern children's hearts as they do for us, because now they can watch them anytime they want, and like we had to wait once a year, and that was that.
And you had to look forward, and if you missed it, you missed it.
Yeah, that was.
And that's very true. I owned, because for a while I couldn't find it on the TV, so I ended up buying the DVDs. So you're right. I mean, they could just access it whenever they wanted to.
Like,
and so
you guys want to watch it every weekend?
So it was cool because they could watch it all they wanted to, like the Grinch and everything. But also, it wasn't as special. It wasn't an event, right? We didn't gather around the TV.
Oh, yeah. I remember when those things would come. I'd be like, oh, yes, I gotta watch it.
I know.
So, anyways, we're introduced to Gerry the Snowman, who lets us know that humans finally wiped each other out. There was an apocalypse,
Right.
and there are hardly any children left in the world. And of the few that are, most of them don't believe in Christmas anymore.
To be fair, the world is pretty fucked up. There was a nuclear war. There's mutants
And
marauders, zombies, Mad Max, cannibals. Probably most of the children were eaten.
Which I think Patton Oswalt has a book called Mutants, Zombies, and Spaceships or something like
really?
that. Yeah. So this was kind of
This is like The Road.
yeah, kind of Christmas, only the Christmas setting of The Road. And we get a montage of kids getting different gifts and then them immediately using it for violence.
Right.
It's like one kid gets a bat, and then he in turn uses it on a mutated person or a zombie. It's hard to differentiate in this comic book who's a mutant, who's a zombie, because they're all, excuse me, I just burped.
Green.
They're all kind of green or brown.
Right.
I
was only able to tell the Marauders because they just wear Mad Max gear.
Yeah, they just look like punks. So Gerry the Snowman keeps singing. He like has a much like Frosty the Snowman has like a singing episode, like
a Burl Ives kind of thing. Yeah.
And he says basically the song is you would all miss us if this was the last Christmas. And we're from this point to when the story actually starts picking up. It's been several. Well, actually, that's not true. It's right after the apocalypse. People are starting to believe less and less in Santa,
right?
Because life is so terrible. So we open up on a scene of marauders attacking the North Pole, and they burn down Santa's workshop. Santa touches down, like he's been out delivering presents, mostly on Christmas. We're like December 26th.
I like how clueless he is, and he's like, "I'm still going to deliver presents to who, Santa?"
No sense of like, is this appropriate to still do this stuff?
Maybe I should help these people.
And he lands, his sleigh lands, and he sees dead or dying elves everywhere. And then he walks into his house and he finds a murdered Mrs. Claus.
Oh, it's horrific.
And then a gunman with blonde hair puts a gun to the back of, and wearing like a bomber jacket, puts a gun to Santa's head and shoots him in the back of his head from point blank. The shooter escapes, and an elf confronts him outside, saying like, "You're not going to get away with this." And then Prancer, one of the reindeer,
basically throws himself
in front of the elf and gets blasted. And then the shooter rides off on a snowmobile.
Honestly, I thought it was Clint Eastwood. He looked like Clint Eastwood from the back.
Well, that comes into play later.
Right.
Because, he is a very square jaw,
chiseled
lantern jaw,
Yeah, it kind of, it reminded me, did you ever see, what was it, Scrooged?
Yeah.
The what's his name?
Lee Majors.
Lee Majors and The Night the Reindeer Fell or whatever. That was actually, honestly, that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie. And I used to replay just that part where you get the big Gatling gun.
Yeah, just mowing people down. You could tell it was totally a TV set.
Right.
I feel like that was probably some inspiration for this story. They lifted a couple things from different genres.
It's a little bit of a parody.
Yeah. So then you jump to a scene where Santa's waking up in a dead reindeer, a la Luke in the Tauntaun, which is like a tribute to that. And for the listeners who don't know, Brian Posehn is a super nerd.
Right.
He's a really nerdy guy, much like Patton Oswalt. They're a couple nerds, and I would say Brian's even more so because he's like into death metal and like he's
Swedish death metal. Yeah.
Not just any death metal, Swedish death metal. So Santa miraculously lives. We come to find out that's because as long as a child believes in Santa, he can't die. And Santa is distraught over his wife having been killed.
Clearly, she didn't have the same powers. No one believes in Mrs. Claus.
Yeah, nobody believes in, or not as strongly, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
I'm just glad they just killed her. After all the books we've read, I thought something much worse was going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. So Santa declares that there will never be a Christmas again because his wife was Christmas.
Right.
Like there's scenes in here where like people are declaring stuff and they do it like in this jaggedy font.
Right.
Like, I was like, oh, that's pretty funny.
Well, and I like it because it's like, oh, there's the title of the book. It's like in
Yeah.
the movies when they say,
The titular line.
yeah,
For
he's
those,
the
for
last
those
Jedi.
of you, for those of you who are really into the Upright Citizens Brigade, that's a callback to that show. You said the titular line. So Santa goes on a bender of booze and pancakes.
Yeah, I dig it. That's,
Yeah, if you're gonna wallow in your sorrow, that's
pretty gross, though, man. I mean, he's like fooling his chonies, just like
Yeah,
maple syrup all over his chest.
just a fucking mess.
Yeah.
So many months or even possibly years go by. He leaves his room and tells this is so mean. Tells an elf. The elf's like, "Oh, you're finally leaving," and he's like, "Yeah, it's because I clogged the toilet. Go clean it. Go clean it up." He gets into his sled wearing only his boxers, flies away. While he's in the sky, he kind of bids farewell to his reindeer and leaps out of the sleigh to kill himself. Only he doesn't die because, as we said,
It's a Wonderful Life.
yeah. And he winds up attempting suicide other ways. He tries hanging himself with some Christmas lights. He burns himself, or what is that called? Emulates? Or
Yeah, self-emulation. Or
something like that.
yeah.
Emulsifying? I don't know.
Emulsifying, yeah.
But yeah, he tries to burn himself, doesn't work. And that's because Santa can't die. So chapter 2 starts, and it's titled Violent Night, which I don't know if you caught this, Dennis. The first 3 chapters have names. The last 2, they don't.
We're like, whatever.
They're just chapter 1. We ran out of parody. Sorry, guys. Or they didn't pay their union fees.
Right,
for
exactly. They didn't enough royalties.
Yeah, the parody union fees were.
But yeah, it takes place like a few years later, right?
Yeah, I believe so. So Gerry the Snowman updates us. Oh yeah, several years go by, and in that time, Santa stops answering letters or delivering presents. But luckily, one boy still believes in him, and I didn't catch this at first. Santa starts loading up shovels and chainsaws, and I was like, these are weird gifts for this kid.
Yeah.
We'll get to these gifts later, but they keep calling them, what do they call them, like survival shovels or something, or survival saw, like the chainsaw. They don't call it a chainsaw, they call it something else.
Right.
So he starts taking off flying, and winds up being shot down over San Francisco.
With a bazooka.
Yeah, with the bazooka, and these are the zombie mutants. That's I guess they're a hybrid. Are attacking him. They're attacking Santa when he's on the ground, and a little boy saves him just in time. Right before. Although, really, is there a just in time when you can't die? So chapter 3 starts, and it's called Seasons Beatings. This is a very quick book, so if it feels like we're rushing through this, it's because it's a very fast-paced book.
And there's not a lot of layers.
No, it is a complete parody, almost groan-inducing humor. Like, oh, come on.
Right.
But done tongue-in-cheek. Like
Totally.
I think their intent was to be.
Oh yeah, this was not they weren't trying to do a serious book. This is no, I don't know what they call it, preacher or any of that kind of stuff.
So Santa, he's been crashed for a while. The elves assume Santa is dead. They haven't heard from him, and the elves start arming themselves. One of the groups. So Santa and the child go back to this community that they're living in. That seems to be like the last remnants of human beings.
Which guest star the writer himself?
Yeah, I was gonna say one of the groups is clearly Brian Posehn before he had his giant beard.
Which I've met him only when he's had his giant beard.
This would have been probably early 2000s, I bet.
Oh, okay.
Right after he did, what was that TV show he was on? Just as like
a robot?
No. David Spade was on it.
Oh, what was that?
You Kill Me or something like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Kill
about.
Me, something like that. He was clearly on the show because they needed a goofy guy. He was a background. He was like a tertiary character. Anyways, the little boy takes Santa and the elf that he was traveling with back to the community where they live. We meet the boys, and we never get the boy's name, but we meet his adoptive parents, which are Martin and Karen. What's that? Oh, I'll get it. You have to give me a beer.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm good.
Thanks.
No, I'm good.
Thank you, though. appreciate it. No. We meet as a excuse me. We meet as adoptive parents, Martin and Karen. Both of them extremely attractive. Like she is.
Martin's like the Fonz.
Well, I should look at. We should have looked at the date that this book was published. I thought it was almost a parody. Martin was almost a parody of Rick and Negan from The Walking Dead.
Oh.
But this must have been published before that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's wearing a leather jacket and he's got a sheriff's badge and he carries a bat.
That's true.
So that's why I thought. But
it's
he looks
possible.
But he looks like Rick, the illustrated Rick, not the Rick from the TV show, the comic book Rick.
Well, that's very possible because I mean, Walking Dead's been going on for a while, man.
That's true. I think since 2005-ish, 2007, somewhere in there. But anyways,
and Karen's like Pamela Anderson.
Yeah, and the one elf, I forget his name. He even says how she's not only the most attractive woman in the world because you're probably one of the few women left in the world, definitely the most attractive out of that. But you were probably even the most attractive woman in the world when the Earth still existed, when humanity still existed. So Santa, and Karen go out to forage. Santa makes a comment to the elf that's with him that he thinks Karen is checking him out. I didn't pick up.
Not at all.
I didn't get the reason why Santa went with her, other than to like move the plot along. It didn't seem natural.
Also, while the parents are very clean for a post-apocalyptic world, which is always funny because that tends to happen.
Yeah.
Santa looks like dirty Santa.
Yeah.
He looks like hobo Santa.
He is completely a disheveled alcoholic.
So I'm pretty sure she's not checking out smelly, boozy, probably smells like shit Santa.
Yeah. While they're out foraging, some reason Santa. There's a lot of things in this book that aren't clearly explained, like the judge.
Yeah.
There's no mention of him before. Oh. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
A friend of ours brought us beers without us even asking. She just kindly did that to us. That's the Rachels, her and her wife, both named Rachel.
Oh.
And they're going to be moving to New Zealand in the
What?
new year. So yeah.
That's
Anyways, so we discover that, or I shouldn't say Karen accidentally overhears that Martin is working with the mutants, and he is the one that actually attacked the North Pole and killed Mrs. Claus. The kid with Santa, or the kid finds out that Santa was planning on killing him.
So that he could finally die.
Yeah, so he could finally die. And he asks this elf for the gifts. He's like, "What did Santa bring me?" And he starts pulling out a shovel and a chainsaw. And the kid puts together like, "Oh fuck, Santa was gonna kill me. You guys were bringing any gifts to me."
Right.
And he cusses out Santa and actually flips Santa off and runs away. Martin and some other, I'm going to say there's some of his co-conspirators, the humans, berate Santa, and he leaves in shamefully leaves. And then Martin's happy because this is going to allow him to move his plan ahead of schedule. I don't really understand, and correct me if you know, Dennis, how Santa either played into his plan or somehow could prevent his plan from happening.
Yeah, that was never really clear to me either.
Santa is never known to be violent until this book. He's not some sort of strategist or some sort of savior. He just brings you shit on Christmas. You should play this episode for your kids.
Oh, absolutely. No, this will be a Christmas tradition.
Yes, the Patton Oswalt poem.
Yeah.
Reading this book and then listening to this episode.
And this, before we open the first day of the Advent calendar, this is the Advent calendar. The first day will be the digital file of this.
Yeah, nice. I like it. You and Christy are great parents.
Best.
So Karen runs back to the base to let Santa know about which again, like, what is this disheveled, fat, old, drunk, gross man gonna do? But she runs back to let Santa know about the plan. finds out that Santa has left, and she tells the boy, "We need to get out of here then."
Right.
And he's like, "Well, what about the people?" And she's like, "Half these people are with Martin. We just need to leave." So the boy writes a letter to Santa.
Magical letter somehow gets to him.
Yeah, puts it in the mailbox, and it. I thought that was cute. I thought that was like
That explains how Santa's
gets his letters.
Yeah.
I thought it was a neat twist on, like it was a good way to get them out of their problem. Like it was an inventive
Right.
storytelling tool. So the letters magically transported to the North Pole. Chapter 4, no title.
No title, just whatever.
Whatever now. Just write it in yourself. They should have had a blank line. You just write in whatever parody you come up with. So Santa's back at the North Pole. He's drinking, and
He gets the letter.
yeah, and he's torn between letting the Marauders kill the kid so that his
He can
life
finally
ends.
die.
Yeah. Or doing the right thing and helping out to allow the boy to live and survive and live. And at this point, Santa is like, I need to stop. He stops. He's gonna stop moping around, and he's determined to pull himself out of his funk. So
He gets his montage scene, his action 80s montage scene of belting up and arming
gearing
himself.
up like Arnold Schwarzenegger Commando.
Oh, totally. Rambo, yeah. Plus with the gingerbread man, which I like.
Yeah.
Why the fuck didn't she use those guys beforehand?
Yeah, he gets the gingerbread men come alive and start jumping into his outfit, and they start gearing up, and they have ornamental grenades,
Right.
And candy cane knives, and at one point there's an elf playing the knife game from Aliens.
Yeah.
And then Gerry the Snowman shows back up, and he has a wooden club with nails sticking through it.
And you forgot the very Bruce Wayne Scene where Santa pays his wife a visit, her grave.
To the grave to say, I'm sorry I let you down. And do apologize. He's like, I'm also apologizing for what I'm about to do.
Yeah, right.
This isn't in the Christmas tradition that you were used to.
No baking cookies.
Yeah. And they also attach a bunch of Gatling guns.
Oh, yeah.
To the sled. Back at the community, the townspeople are fighting off mutants and zombies, which are to distract them from Martin letting in the judge, which is a mutant zombie. I don't know what he is, but
Yeah, you know what? To be perfectly honest, there are some mutants who clearly look like zombies. So I'm not.
Yeah, like they're clearly zombies. Like they're brainless. Like they don't have.
But they're working with
the mutants.
Yeah,
or like the mutants control them somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not.
I don't think they really thought out that much.
Clearly not. So yeah, Martin lets the judge and the other mutants in through a sewer, and as the chaos of the battle is happening, a marauder suddenly gets his head cut in half by a fruitcake.
Yeah.
And we see that Santa and his elves are starting to descend on the community, and one of the elves is just using these as like a bomb.
Right.
To
Totally.
the fruitcakes to attack the bad guys. Gerry the Snowman drops from a sleigh, and as soon as he hits the ground, he just splatters.
Right. He doesn't seem like a very effective fighter. He's more of a lover than a fighter.
Although we see the aftermath of him viciously killing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because he starts to reassemble himself, and then he realizes his nose is missing, his carrot nose is missing. He's like, oh, it's in the gutter, like down in the sewer. So he goes down there and finds a bunch of bad guys.
And they just explode?
Somehow he kills them, and there's just like all this blood and sinew flies up. It's almost like Army of Darkness when
totally.
Ash goes into the pit, or another person goes in before Ash, and then like way more
limbs
blood than
and
a
everything.
human.
Yeah, exactly.
Goes flying out.
That's actually tonally. I think you really nailed it. I think it really does have an Evil Dead meets Christmas kind of thing to it.
You picked it up more than me, but I will agree. I came up with that.
It's a little bonkers.
Yeah. This definitely seems like something right up a young Sam Raimi's alley here. So Santa's attacked from behind by a marauder, and those the gingerbread cookies, jump out of his pocket and start going down the guy's throat.
Oh, yeah.
Which doesn't kill him, but like it distracts him. And then out of nowhere, I have no clue
Okay, yeah.
where this character came from.
I felt like, did I miss a page where he was introduced?
Nope, you didn't miss anything. A ninja,
Right, who looks like...
speaks Japanese,
Yeah.
uses a katana to finish the guy off.
I thought, honestly, I looked at him, I thought it was Storm Shadow from G.I. Joe.
Oh, maybe. I don't know, maybe.
But yeah, no, I thought, like, I must have missed the part where, like, he was introduced or something, because it feels like he was, like, a major character.
Yeah, all of a sudden I had to flip back. I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck did I miss?
But no, he just popped up.
Same with the judge. Like, who's the judge? And I had to go back. I was like, oh, must be the guy Martin was talking to.
Totally.
So then we now catch up to Martin, who's driving a truck towards the Golden Gate Bridge, and he has Karen and the kid tied up in the bed of the pickup.
Why didn't he kill them right away? I didn't understand.
Yeah, why didn't he just shoot them?
Right.
See, this is one of those books or stories where it's completely, well, we got to get to this next plot point.
Right.
Because in the chaos, he should have just killed the two of them.
Well,
right?
and that was his goal.
Yeah, because he gets them in the back of the truck and they're driving away, and that's, the chapter ends on him saying, like, well, why are you driving us? Why are you driving us out to kill us? He's like, you're right. I should just do it here.
Right.
And he turns the gun on him. That's the end of chapter 4. Chapter 5 picks up with Einstein's famous, or the quote that's attributed to Einstein about, I don't know what World War III will be fought with, but World War III will be fought with sticks and stones, or bones and sticks, whatever. Only that quote is subverted with instead of I don't know what World War III will be fought with, but World War IV will be fought with candy canes and
shotguns and
yeah.
ornament grenades.
Yeah.
True quote, kids.
Yeah. So some of the elves with Santa commandeered a motorcycle, and they catch up to the truck. And while that's going on, Karen uses her butt to knock the gun out of Martin's hand.
I should say that Karen has a lot of scenes where she's stretching, just kind of basically arching her back unnecessarily.
Yeah. Very Catwoman-esque.
Yeah.
So Santa jumps. Santa's flying in his sleigh to catch up. He jumps out of the sleigh, smashes a car. This was very like Neo Matrix-y.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Smashes the car, and then jumps onto the back of the truck. But when he does, the tailgate breaks, and he falls off. And then he pulls a Marvin from Sin City, the movie.
Oh yeah,
and
that's what I was reminded of.
Yeah, the car. There's a pursuing car, and he jumps up in the air and smashes through the windshield, knocks the driver out, and then takes that car, immediately wrecks it, catches on fire, and Martin assumes that Santa's dead, but he's like a Terminator. He comes out of the fire.
Hot pursuit in some Mercedes Benz.
Yeah. So Martin walks up to him and shoots Santa point blank in the head. See, this is one of those things where storytelling, I feel like it would have been more effective if they didn't maybe show or give an explanation every time Santa killed himself, like, oh, he can't die. Like, if they just been like, let him live, and then storytelling-wise, the reader, you would have been like, well, why the fuck does he keep living?
Right.
And then at this point explain,
oh, this is why
he can't die, because kids live in him, or live in him. Kids live in Santa.
That's a different dark story, my man.
That's the tauntaun. But if I don't know, I feel like they could have set that up a little bit better, because as the reader, you're like, well, I know he's not going to live. All right, I know he's not going to die.
Right.
So Martin shoots Santa point blank in the head. He doesn't die. Santa knocks the gun out of Martin's hand, takes it, and then shoots.
It's one of Martin's
one of his, not Martin,
lieutenants,
one of his lieutenants,
whatever. Martin's run off with the kid.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I got my storyline mixed up here. Kneecaps the guy with the shotgun or the gun, catches up to Martin, tackles him, and come to find out Martin has been holding a grudge against Santa all these years because Santa had brought him sweaters for Christmas. But Santa explains that's because I always knew there was something dark and negative in you, so that's why I brought you sweaters. And then Santa picks Martin up and throws him off a cliff. He's impaled
by a Christmas tree. Like it's
a
funny
Douglas fir Christmas tree,
because it's like it's the last thing you put on the tree's the angel right on top.
Yeah, so he's impelled through the
Yeah, so he's like the
chest.
angel.
Yeah,
on the
they
Christmas
decorate the tree underneath him. And as the comic book's wrapping up, the kid gets his bike. He gets a bike for Christmas that he always wanted. Santa's helper seems to be sleeping with Karen, and then one of the elves.
I'm really. This goes dark. Really.
Yeah, this is. You can remember this is probably published not long after 9/11.
Right.
So, the elf is posing in that infamous photo of that little military
That's what
chick,
it was. Okay.
where she had the naked guys in Guantanamo Bay, the terrorists. She's like, so
they
the
have
elves
captured zombies and put bags over their heads and posing them in weird positions.
but she's like doing the thumbs up thing.
That's why
yeah.
it seems so familiar.
Yeah.
Okay.
As soon as I saw, I was
That's
like, oh,
fucked up,
Guantanamo
man.
Bay poses.
Yeah.
But what's
like
just
Guantanamo
fiction?
Bay.
Someone actually did that to people. But anyways,
Yeah.
the book seems to end. Only to have Gerry tell us that Santa caught up to the judge and punched him out and says,
The mutant judge.
yeah, tell all the mutants and marauders Santa Claus is coming to town. And hell's coming with me.
And he's all clean.
And Santa's now like ripped. He's slimmed.
He's got like a new haircut.
Yeah, he's got like a trimmed up
He
beard.
looks like Jesus.
Yeah, slash Indiana Jones.
Right.
Yeah, and that's your book. And I'm not surprised there's never been a sequel to this.
Yeah, really surprising. I'll have to say that I found the art fun. It reminded me of looking at a Cracked magazine.
Yes, it was very Cracked or
Mad.
Mad magazine.
Yeah,
The
like one of
art,
those parodies.
very reminiscent of that.
Very vibrant colors. Not too gory, just gory enough.
Yeah, dude, there's some pretty gory stuff.
I don't know. We've read a lot of gore. I felt like I'm just.
We've been desensitized to gore.
The story wasn't awful. I wouldn't say it was great.
I appreciate it for. It's a dumb book, but it knows it's a dumb book.
Right.
It knows it's stupid.
Right.
So, it's fine.
It's a bunch of guys who just got together and listen. Hey, I have this idea.
Yeah.
What about listen to me? Santa Claus, Mad Max,
Yeah.
Evil Dead,
Die Hard. That scene from Scrooged.
Right. And then we just all combine it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised they were able to get funding for this, but in their defense, it was kind of a fun ROM.
Yeah.
But yeah, once again, not for the kids.
Would you recommend purchasing it?
Purchasing it? No.
Yeah.
If you found this in a blind bag from Dimple Records, I'd say yes, definitely try to find them. But I would not recommend purchasing.
Or if you're a fan of Brian Posehn's comedy,
Yeah.
then definitely pick it up.
It's harmless.
Yeah.
It's harmless.
Yeah. I don't know if I would buy it. If I would buy it again, but
Let me put it
That's
this
fine.
way. I've bought some comics where I'm actually angry that I purchased it and that I went past the rebate period. This one, I'll keep in my collection. It'll be fun.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, Dennis, where can people follow the podcast?
They can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at GN Explorers Club.
And if you guys want to follow me, Serious Talk Twit on Twitter. And I never remember what my Instagram is. So just want to say thank you to Crocker Art Museum for inviting us out to Crocker-Con. This is our second year. We love doing this. It's a lot of fun. Thank you to Evan Burgoon for coordinating the whole
Very
thing.
much so.
And we hope you have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, holidays, whatever your
Winter
thing is.
solstice.
Yeah, solstice. Or if this is super far in the future and you're living out the story of the last Christmas,
Right.
our condolences for what you're going through, our
Yeah,
sympathies.
sorry you're spending your last bit of solar electricity listening to this, but I hope it keeps you, it gives you some peace while the mutants raid your camp.
Yeah, hopefully you're reading this in a quiet, dark bunker somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
By candlelight.
Vault 101.
Yeah. One. Nice. Thank you for listening, listeners. We'll see you guys in a couple months. We'll be back with season 3.
Bye.
I wanted to do a crossover costume where get the Steve Zissou costume, but then wear the Ghostbuster pack
Oh, nice.
and paint it the Steve Zissou colors.
Nice.
And to have it be like Peter Zissou or
That's awesome.
something like that.
Mashup.
Yeah, I should